Maureen, and it'll be a year this coming Friday that I ended up in the emergency room, thinking that I didn't know what I had because I was a very healthy person, I thought, and I ate only organic foods, but my health just started declining. Every day I was just falling apart. And but I had suffered an emotional trauma that turned to deep, deep depression and then anger. And it was literally to my core. But I didn't put two and two together. And so I happened to be grandpuppy sitting at my kid's house in Cedar Park, Texas. I mean, I can't remember the dates because this last year has been a blur. In April of 2019. And I had gotten so bad. They have a 2-story house, and I ended up having to be in bed almost the entire 2 weeks that I was there. And my daughter-in-law's father had to come and take care of the dogs. And then the day that I was leaving, I had to go up and down the stairs probably 15 or 20 times. I had to hang onto the railing and just kind of throw myself down because I couldn't carry more than a piece of paper at a time. And at that point I said I needed to call the airport because I was coming back to San Diego and get a wheelchair because I just couldn't do it any longer. The pain was so intense. And when I got home in April, I was pretty much bedridden. I just couldn't move. And I have a neighbor across the street I call my angel, who came over. Sorry, I'm going to start crying. Came over every day and brought me food and came over and helped me get into the bathroom. And every day I just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And the night of June 3rd, this coming week, I ended up at 10 o'clock at night. I couldn't get out of the bathroom. And I thought to myself, if I get my knees on the floor, at least I could crawl into the bedroom and get on the bed, get back to bed. But by the time I hit the floor, I couldn't go any further. And my husband didn't hear me. And I ended up spending the night on a cold tile floor in my pajamas until 6 o'clock in the morning. And when he finally said, "Where are you?" And I just had been on the floor and I was frozen to the bone, and got me off the floor into the bed. And he had to go to work. And I just lay there trying to thaw out. And then the morning of June 5th, I just couldn't take it any longer. And my neighbor, Alicia, and Mike got me into a chair, the walker with a chair. I had bought every handicap appliance that there was, and into the car. And I ended up in the emergency room at the Navy Hospital here in San Diego. And they thought that I had broken my back. And what it was, they came back after doing a MRI that I had the stage 4 metastatic breast stuff issue that had actually, sorry, my nose is running, had gone to my lumbar area and literally eaten my spine. And part of my pain was like nerve issues, where I would be in somebody's car and we'd hit like a little dip, and I just get this massive zing down my legs, not knowing that I had exposed nerves in my back. So I ended up being in the hospital for 8 days, and I had no feeling from my waist down at all. They used to come in and say, move my toes. They had the leg compressions on me to keep the circulation going. And I just laid there, and I'd have to hit the buzzer. It was just horrible. It was just horrible. I had to hit the buzzer for somebody to come and help me roll over, fix my pillow. It was just, they couldn't do anything else. And they started me on something called Ibrance, which is an oral chemo and another pill, and on calcium to try to rebuild my bones in a shot. But it was, I could only stay there for 8 days, and I ended up going to a rehab facility And the one I wanted to go to, since I had been in a large medical facility, I wanted to go to a rehab that was in a large hospital. And they didn't have room for me. And so I ended up going to a small place. And sorry, my nose is running. But God works in mysterious ways, because that was the best place for me. It was a small place, had maybe 20 or 30 people. The nurse's station was right outside my door. I'd have to have, I just hit the buzzer and they were there in 2 seconds. If I needed to have my legs moved or roll over. And they had me work on, my physical therapist there had me work on moving my toes. So by the time I left there 10 days later, I could move my toes a little bit. I was still in the wheelchair. I still had to have somebody help me get out of the bed. And there was the most awesome little nurse, and she would actually lift me up and sit me onto the porta potty, and then lift me up and put me back into the bed. And I did this, but what they taught me was how to use a slide board to get from the bed to, they call it a commode, I call it my porta potty, and then back. But the problem is I had to have somebody help me get up, sit up, because I had no backbone. And I was there for 10 days, and they were working with me to, once I got upright, to be able to sit upright, because I kept wanting to fall backwards or forwards. And then I ended up at home, and it was just myself and my husband, and it was something I don't ever want to repeat, or don't want anybody else to have to go through. That first night home was just having to get from the bed to the porta potty, and he thought, oh, I can just lift you up and move you over. But as he lifted me up, I started to slide down, and I had a wristband on that said fall risk, because they were afraid that if I fell, I'd just snap what was left of my spine. I was very, very, very lucky that my spine didn't just break. I just say all the time that God had bigger, better plans for me. Sorry, this is just really emotional. But I existed like that, and I kept working my toes back and forth. And I got to the point where I could lift my feet up back and forth a little bit like this. But I've learned to appreciate the little things in life. I mean, I would get so excited. I'd take pictures of it. I send it to my friends. Look at me, look what I can do. And my cats would lay around me, and they were my therapy cats. It was a really tough time, but I pulled through, and I had a physical therapist that started in July of last year. And she helped me work on being able to move my feet a little bit, lift my legs up a little bit. And I don't know where the camera is on this. I'm on my tablet, my iPad. But
you're doing great.
Okay.
You're doing great.
Yeah.
You're doing great.
She helped me get to the point where I had her for 6 months, and in that 6-month time, I learned to stand up with my walker and take a couple steps back and forth, kind of slide steps, and back into my chair. And then we go into the kitchen, and I learned to grab onto the railing and like pull myself up, because I knew weight bearing was the most important thing to rebuild my spine. And it just was a slow process. And her last time was the beginning of January of 2020. And about a week later, I got a call from my friend Jan Rand and asked me what I knew about stem cells. And I knew a lot, because I actually am a health practitioner, and I used to be I still am a cancer coach and cancer specialist, but I always equated the C word to being food driven. I never equated the emotional trauma with it. I always equated food. That's why I ate really good and really clean. But I had looked into stem cells, but there was no way I could afford it. And on top of that, It wasn't guaranteed to work. The chances are of it working. And I had so much damage. I mean, I had exposed nerves running from the base of my spine down my legs to my toes. And so she said, let me send you something. So she sent me the video, and I watched the video, and I absolutely need these. I need these patches. I need these patches. And so then Jan had me talk to Marcy, because I had knew Marcy had gone through a similar journey, and I ordered them right then and there. And I started my first patch on January 23rd. So it's been 4.5 months, still in a wheelchair, being able to move my feet a little bit and shuffle along. And I started the patches. And then 4 days later, I happened to be talking to Marcy, and she happened to mention she's using 2 patches. So I started immediately using 2 patches. So I put one in the back of my neck, and I put one in my lumbar area. And I called my stem cells my babies. So I take the other patch, and I put my hands behind my back, and put it back there. And I just say, where do you need to go today? And wherever it ends up on my lumbar area is where I put it. And so I just noticed a small progression. Of course, this was January, this is May 30th. So I noticed a small change, but every day I notice something. I feel the muscles in the back of my legs used to be like rubber bands. They would just want to I stretched my leg out. They just wanted to go back like this. And now I can, my legs will go out and they'll stay out. So I'm not one of those that noticed a change immediately. It's just been a slow progression. I now spend most of my time standing up. I'm in my wheelchair right now, but I spend most of my time standing up whenever possible. I walk along the kitchen counter. I haven't gotten to the point where I can walk without a wheelchair or walk without a walker. I can take a shower by myself now, which was major because it had been close to a month at one point before I even had a shower. I used to apologize to people all the time for, oh gosh, I'm so sorry, I haven't had a shower. And during physical therapy, they had a home worker come in and twice a week. So I got to shower twice a week. And, but now I take a shower every day just because I can. And that's my going statement. I do it because I can. And just appreciating the little things in life. But the patches were just, they were a lifesaver to me. I had high dose targeted radiation in my lumbar area 2 days after being in the hospital. And so I know what that does to your body. And I can usually tell what part of my spine is the stem cells are going in and repairing because I get an achy feeling in that area. So some days it'll be up high, some days it'll be low. I had a blood clot the size of a golf ball in my left femur. So they were very concerned about that. Some days my hips ache. But it's just been the most wonderful thing. I always say that God had bigger plans for me than this journey.
May I ask you a question? You said yesterday something to the effect of before the X39, your muscles were hanging off your body, and now they're tight again. Why don't you explain that? Because that was
yes, thank you. When I came home, my muscles had atrophied, and they literally were just hanging. When I would bend my leg up, when I got to that point, and my thigh muscles, they just flapped. There was just no muscle there. And my skin was hanging. I looked like I was 150 years old. I'm 71, but I looked like I was 150. I was just, there was just literally just looked like dry skin off a snake that was just ready to peel off. And so I noticed not too long ago how tight my muscles are. And I can take my foot now and flex it, and I can see the muscles at the top of my leg between my knee and my foot, the muscles working. But today I noticed, because I took a shower, because I can, which makes me so excited, I don't have any saggy skin anymore. My skin is firm and tight, you know, and it's just short of a miracle. It
You know,
really
and
is.
Maureen, you also told me yesterday, if I may share, that you said that the breast stuff was eating your bones and your nerves.
Oh, it
And
was.
what you noticed, and just tell me if I heard this right, is that now you've been feeling like your bones are strengthening. I heard you tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, I actually, absolutely. The bones in my back. Okay, I was going to do this at the end, but I'm going to show
Okay.
you guys. Let's see
Okay.
if I can back my chair up, but I can stand up.
Ah, look at her go! She's holding her own weight. Her back is holding.
Yeah, I can actually, I can twist, I can reach. Yeah, it aches, but I know that's the area that's being worked on. So yeah, I can. And I walk now every night with my walker up and down the street. My husband follows me with a wheelchair, but I walk a half mile every night, back and forth.
Okay, but you said before you had this blood clot. What happened to the blood clot?
Oh, they, the morning that they found it, they rushed me down to surgery, and they put a filter in, like a little filter down in there, and put me immediately on a blood thinner.
And the clot went.
Yes, the clot's gone, and they just took the blood, the little filter out through my neck right here. They actually take it in and they feed it down in the area, and then they pull it back out of your neck. And yeah, the blood clot's gone. I still have a weak spot, but I can always tell when things are being worked on by where I get this like achy feeling, you know, some days.
And that the achy feeling is, honestly, you ready for this? It's those pluripotent stem cells that have been activated, and it's literally pushing the young stem cells onto the old tissue. And David talks about this, the owner and inventor, that there is this battle, and it causes inflammation and achy until, guess what? The new stem cells win.